Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Marshal D. Teach is currently causing some major problems, and it's not only for pirates, but marines and even the Revolutionary Army. And Blackbeard's crew is also constantly gaining power and getting more and more troublesome by the minute. Currently, Luffy's grandfather, Garp, is on his way to go rescue Kobe, who had been previously captured by Teach during the very end of the Wano arc. However, very few marines actually know about this rescue mission. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what Luffy's reaction might be when he finds out that Kobe was abducted by Teach, and that his grandfather is currently on his way to go confront the Yonko, and what Luffy might do about Teach if anything happens to Garp. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like, and even subscribe, and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it continues to motivate us to make more content. If you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, Luffy and Teach have always at least been rivals, if not more like an enmity, because they're pirates from different crews. But especially now that Luffy and Teach are Yonko, this enmity is going to rise even higher. Currently, Luffy hasn't been worried about Teach's actions because he's been completely occupied, and he hasn't heard anything about Teach or his crew in quite a while. So Luffy has no idea about what Teach has been doing or even what his next move is going to be. But after Luffy leaves Egghead Island, he'll finally get some news about the impending confrontation between Teach and Garp, revealing to us the fate that may befall these two characters after they clash and the end of this combat. If Teach manages to take the life of Garp, this is going to bring some serious depth and weight to the story of One Piece, causing Luffy to lose yet another important person to him, something quite similar to what happened to him in Marineford, where Luffy was in complete despair and in shock to see that Ace had lost his life. However, this time, Luffy is gonna want to take revenge, because unlike in Marineford, where he was in total shock and unable to move, and not even possessed enough power to even look at Akainu, now that Luffy's a Yonko and possesses great strength through his Gear 5th transformation, this makes him practically invincible. So now, Luffy has enough strength to be able to confront Teach, causing a great calamity if both try to do their best to take each other's life. The stakes in this type of battle would be immense, because Luffy would be fighting for revenge, while Teach would be really interested in obtaining Luffy's fruit after appreciating how powerful his fruit can be. So there may be a battle that we have expected to happen for quite a long time, something that many predicted from their very first meeting. Luffy and Teach met during the Jaya arc when they had a disagreement over cherry pie, and ever since have been rivals or maybe even enemies. But the reason for this enmity is much more because they're both pirates with the same goal. Blackbeard, at least on the surface, seems to have a lot of respect for Luffy and recognizes him for his fierce determination to fulfill his dream. And it's for this reason he even considered capturing Luffy and handing him over to the Navy just to become a warlord. Now, while they have a mutual respect, or at least one has respect for the other, over time this respect has degraded and turned into anger and revenge, especially on Luffy's side, while Teach just wants to go after and complete his ambitions and goals. At the moment, Luffy really detests Blackbeard and places much of the blame on him for being responsible for causing Ace to lose his life, because it was Blackbeard that turned Ace over to the Marines so that he could become a warlord. And his hatred grew all the more when Blackbeard attacked his father, Monkey D. Dragon, and his brother Sabo. So slowly but surely, Luffy has begun to harbor more and more anger and hatred towards Teach, to the point where Luffy began to consider Teach one of his worst enemies, becoming a future enemy that Luffy will have to take on when he has the opportunity. Now, going back to their first meeting for just a moment, the two first met in Jaya inside the Wild Cherry, where they had a comical disagreement over the quality of the cherry pie, and nearly got into a fight before Blackbeard decided to just leave. After Luffy's confrontation with Bellamy about following someone's dreams, he was dragged out of the bar by Nami, and Blackbeard was sitting outside eating his cherry pies and gave a speech to Luffy about people following their dreams. This was the very first time that Luffy and Zoro realized that Teach was something dangerous, as they both sensed something strange about it. And instead of calling Teach in the singular, both Straw Hats called Teach in the plural, they, giving a rather large hint about Blackbeard's possible origin. Later, however, Blackbeard attempted to arrest Luffy as he sailed to Skypiea after finding out about his increased bounty, but he failed. The two would not meet again until the Impel Down arc after the mass breakout. You see, it was during this chance meeting where Blackbeard revealed that he was the one responsible for the imprisonment of Ace. And after a brief confrontation between Luffy and Teach, they ended up having to separate so each could follow their own objective, because there was a huge confrontation going on outside the prison. Since then, the two really haven't crossed paths, but kept themselves updated on each other's activities. This way, they would know how strong the other is getting, so that they could prepare for the confrontation that is eventually going to happen when they meet again. Blackbeard has always had a very curious view of Luffy, and apparently respects him a lot. He even went so far as to praise Luffy's decision for not fighting Bellamy on Jaya, informing Nami that Luffy actually won that fight despite never having fought. This is really due to the fact that Teach is extremely smart and strategic to the point of the long game, so he can easily tell when he is at an advantage or a disadvantage during battle, which has allowed him to deduce what the winner of the confrontation would be, making Teach wonder at the strength of this very young pirate. He then gave Luffy an impassioned speech about the fact that dreams never die, knowing full well that Luffy understood his sentiment as they both seek to achieve their goals at any cost necessary. Sometime later, when Teach read the newspapers that Luffy was now the 5th Emperor of the Sea, he smiled with joy, but stated that it was still too early for him to be called that, as Luffy wasn't strong enough to confront him, or even any other Yonko for that matter. Despite his respect, he still underestimated Luffy, as when he fought the Straw Hat Captain in Impel Down, he was surprised at actually how strong he was, taking some serious damage from Luffy during that brief exchange. Although at the time, it was still pretty clear that Luffy wouldn't have many chances to defeat him, as Teach had easily managed to nullify the power of Luffy's fruit, making it possible for him to cause strong attacks back at the young pirate. And even though he recognizes Luffy as a fellow dreamer, he still believes that piracy is a dog-eat-dog world, and was fully prepared to capture Luffy once he discovered his bounty in Jaya. When Blackbeard confronted Ace, he informed his former division commander of his intention to capture Luffy as a gift to the world government, but he was surprised when Ace told him that he and Luffy are sworn brothers, and that he wasn't going to help Teach capture Luffy. Blackbeard teased Luffy once again over a transponder snail a little bit more than 2 years later, when his crew member Burgess was competing alongside him to win the animenomi while on Dressrosa, telling him that he would never gain his late brother Ace's devil fruit. Because Teach had been the reason that Ace had lost his devil fruit, this caused Luffy to be even more enraged, although he still couldn't do anything about it because Teach was in a totally unknown and distant location from Dressrosa, so the only way that Luffy could retort was through that conversation. Later, on his way to Totoland, he was angered to read that Blackbeard and his crew had attacked the Revolutionary Army's headquarters, and he worried about the safety of his father and Sabo. But again, Luffy just couldn't do anything about it since his goals currently were to save Sanji, who had been captured by the Big Mom pirates, which again left Luffy weakened in the face of this unfavorable situation. Bringing ourselves to the current timeline though, Teach is currently confronting Law, and we don't know if this fight has come to an end, but if Law loses, this is going to make Luffy even angrier with Teach, because Law is a great friend and ally to Luffy. Even though both are currently frenemies or rivals after everything that happened in Wano, this relationship that was built up from Punk Hazard and beyond, Luffy still looks at Law as a friend. And if Garp goes after Teach and something happens, this could make Luffy really make Teach his target. And depending on how the fight ends, Teach might have even been teasing Luffy for a long time, making the Straw Hat Boy want to come after him. And perhaps this could be Teach's true goal, as he wants to obtain the most powerful devil fruits for his crew, enabling them to become the most powerful crew of pirates in this generation. So if Teach manages to lure Luffy through Garp and Kobe, it would give Teach the opportunity to steal Luffy's fruit after taking the young pirate's life. So Teach might have a grand design involving Luffy, and he might just be waiting for Luffy to come to him for his plan to begin. So with all that said, my friends, we'd now love to know what you think about it. What do you think Teach's end goal is? And how do you think it involves Luffy? Is it just because Luffy has a devil fruit that Teach knows he has and it's powerful? Or does Teach perhaps, like some others in the world, know there's something special about Luffy's devil fruit and he's been wanting to get his hands on it for a while? Next, how do you think the confrontation is going to go down between Teach and Law? There's a lot of different discussion in the community, and most think that Law might end up losing to Teach. But what would be the next step? And finally, once Garp gets his hands on Teach, what kind of epic battle do you think we're in for? I mean, this is Garp fully unleashing every bit of his power. And even though Garp is up in years, he's fighting for somebody he really cares about. So what do you think might happen, and what kind of amazing feats might we get to see? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.